All right. Welcome in, everyone, to another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're going to be going over this idea of chosen ones.
Oh, interesting.
And the source material kind of goes into why these chosen ones, people on a path less traveled, so to speak, driven by a distinct purpose,
Okay.
why they face so much hardship, so much opposition.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating premise, right? I mean, it seems like we all kind of, at least in the West, are brought up with these stories about, heroes and mythical figures and all that. But
Hmm.
this is looking at a very specific subset of those. It's the people who challenge the status quo.
Right.
They kind of, they carry that chosen one energy and often encounter resistance.
The text we have here lays out 5 key reasons why these chosen ones face pushback, and I'm really curious to get into that with you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it all starts with this idea that chosen ones just disrupt the established order of things.
Right.
They make waves.
Yeah.
Not everyone's a fan of choppy waters.
Of course, of course.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think absolutely disrupting the status quo can trigger really deep discomfort,
Yeah.
and especially for those who benefit from things staying the same.
Right, right.
When someone comes along and challenges the accepted norms, the way things have always been, it forces people to confront their own beliefs and their own choices and even their own insecurities.
Yeah.
And that can be a very unsettling experience for a lot of people.
The text actually uses this phrase, the chosen ones, by simply being who they are, hold up a mirror to others, reflecting back their own fears, insecurities, and unresolved shadows. That's powerful imagery, I mean.
It is, yeah.
Do you think that's an accurate reflection of what happens?
I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about any major historical figure who challenged the prevailing beliefs of their time, Galileo, for example,
Oh, yeah.
with his insistence on a heliocentric solar system,
Mhm.
he faced immense resistance from the church, from society at large, because his ideas threatened the established worldview.
Yeah.
And in a way, he was holding up a mirror, right?
Right.
Forcing people to confront the limitations of their current understanding.
It's like that saying, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
Exactly. It's that process of confronting our own blind spots, right?
Yeah.
Like our own areas where we've been clinging to outdated beliefs or comfortable lies.
Right.
And it can be incredibly uncomfortable.
Right.
And it's a lot easier to lash out at the messenger than it is to actually do the hard work of self-reflection and change.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's much easier to just, it's that person's fault. They're the problem.
They're making waves.
Exactly.
And that ties into the second reason the text gives
Okay.
for why chosen ones face pushback.
Yeah.
They challenge established systems and beliefs
Right.
and trigger that fear of the unknown.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like fear plays a huge role in how we respond to those who are different or challenge our way of thinking.
Fear is a powerful motivator,
Yeah.
and it often drives us to protect what we know, even if what we know is no longer serving us.
Right.
When someone comes along and proposes a new way of doing things or a new way of seeing the world,
Yeah.
it triggers that primal fear of the unknown, right?
Right.
We worry about losing control, losing our sense of security, maybe even losing our identity.
I think this is something that a lot of us can relate to on a personal level, right?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever had an idea, maybe for a project at work
Yeah.
or a different way of approaching a problem, maybe in your personal life, and you're met with this resistance, even though you know it's a good idea?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think anyone who has ever tried to innovate or push boundaries has encountered this
Right.
kind of fear-based resistance. And it's not always malicious.
Right.
It's often rooted in a genuine desire to just protect the status quo,
Yeah.
even if that status quo is no longer working.
Right. This is how we've always done it.
We've always done it this way.
It's worked so far.
Exactly.
Why change it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The text actually delves into the energetic aspect of this,
Okay.
suggesting that, chosen ones operate at a higher vibrational frequency,
Okay.
and that can disrupt lower vibrational forces. I know that this kind of language can be a little out there for some folks,
Yeah.
but what do you make of this idea of vibrational energy and its role in the challenges these chosen ones face?
Well, I think we can interpret that idea in a few different ways.
Okay.
On a purely energetic level, it's true that certain people just seem to exude a different kind of energy, right?
Right.
There's a sense of purpose and passion that can be very palpable to those around them.
Yeah.
And this energy can be incredibly inspiring, but it can also be unsettling to those who are, stuck in a lower vibrational state,
Okay.
whether that's a state of fear, apathy, negativity.
So it's not necessarily about like literal vibrations, but more about the overall energy someone brings to a situation.
Yeah. Exactly. It's about the feeling they evoke in others. And when that feeling challenges the prevailing energy of a group or a system, it can create friction, like trying to mix oil and water,
Right. It doesn't really.
They don't blend easy.
Yeah, they don't blend easily.
Yeah.
And that leads nicely into the third reason the text gives for the mistreatment of chosen ones. Their higher vibration disrupts those lower vibrational forces.
Right.
It sounds like it's all interconnected, right?
Absolutely.
These different reasons.
They're all facets of the same dynamic.
Okay.
It's the challenge that arises when someone dares to be different.
Right.
To break free from the mold, to pursue a path that's aligned with their true purpose. And that brings us to the fourth reason.
Which is?
The text states that chosen ones disrupt complacency.
Okay.
By their very nature, they challenge the status quo and force those around them to confront their own stagnation.
Okay.
And that can be a very uncomfortable process.
It's like that friend who always seems to be pushing you to do better, be better.
Yeah.
Even if you would rather just stay in your comfort zone.
Right. Which
we all have, right? We all have our comfort zones. But they're like, no, you can do more.
Yeah, it can be annoying, right?
Yeah.
But also very valuable. Because sometimes we need that external push to help us break out of our routines, to question our assumptions, and to reach for something more.
So even though it might not always feel good in the moment, this disruption of complacency can ultimately be a positive force for growth.
Absolutely. It's like a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Jolting us out of our slumber and reminding us that we're capable of so much more than we often give ourselves credit for.
That's a great way to think about it. It's not about seeking out discomfort for its own sake.
Right.
But recognizing that discomfort can be a catalyst for positive change.
Exactly.
So we've covered 4 reasons.
Okay.
Disrupting the status quo, challenging systems and beliefs, having a higher vibrational frequency that can disrupt lower ones, and disrupting complacency.
Right.
So what's that 5th and final reason the text gives?
This one might be the most intriguing of them all.
Okay, lay it on me.
The text argues that the journey of a chosen one, including the mistreatment they endure, serves to inspire others.
Interesting.
Even if it's not immediately apparent.
It's suggesting that there's a bigger picture at play here.
Right.
A purpose beyond the individual's experience.
Exactly. It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Right. The challenges faced by chosen ones, the resistance they overcome, it becomes part of their story, part of their legend. And that story can then serve to inspire others who are facing their own trials and tribulations.
So even though it might feel incredibly lonely and challenging in the moment, the struggles of a chosen one can ultimately serve to uplift and empower others.
Precisely. Their journey becomes a beacon of hope, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience and triumph.
It's almost like they're paving the way for others to follow.
Yeah.
Even if those others don't realize it yet.
Exactly. And that brings us to a crucial question that we'll delve into further. If mistreatment can be a sign that you're on the right track, how can you learn to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than setbacks?
That's a powerful question, and it's one we'll definitely be exploring in more depth.
Yeah, definitely.
But before we do, let's take a closer look at some of the specific ways chosen ones are mistreated, according to the text.
Sounds good to me. Let's dive in. So we've established that chosen ones, they shake things up a bit.
Right.
And that can lead to some pushback.
Right.
So how does that pushback actually manifest?
Yeah, what forms does that take?
Yeah.
Well, the text gets into specifics about this, which I think is really helpful for anyone listening who might be experiencing this in their own lives. And it mentions things like, criticism, isolation, even attempts to diminish your light, so to speak.
Those are really powerful examples.
Yeah.
And I think it really highlights the fact that this mistreatment
doesn't
always take the form of outright aggression or hostility. Sometimes it's much more subtle, more insidious, like being constantly second-guessed or having your ideas dismissed.
Right, or just nitpicked.
Yeah, exactly.
Like death by 1,000 paper cuts. It might not be one big dramatic event.
Right.
But the cumulative effect.
The cumulative effect can be Just as damaging. Yeah.
It can be just as damaging, if not worse.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really important
Yeah.
to recognize those more subtle forms of resistance
Yeah.
because they can be a lot harder to identify
Right.
and even harder to address.
Exactly.
The text specifically calls out criticism.
Right.
And I think that's something that most of us can relate to, you know?
Yeah. We've all been there.
We've all been on the receiving end
Sure.
of criticism, whether it's from family, friends, colleagues, even just strangers on the internet.
Oh, especially strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
The internet it's a breeding ground for criticism, yeah.
I mean, some of it can be constructive,
And
right?
it's coarse.
But it seems like a lot of it is used as a weapon to try to control or silence someone.
Right.
And I think when it comes to these chosen ones, the criticism they receive is often rooted in fear, like we talked about, or a lack of understanding.
Right, because it's threatening to see someone living a life that's so different from our own or pursuing a path that we might secretly long for but are too afraid to pursue ourselves.
Right, right.
So we project our own fears and insecurities onto them, and that often comes out as criticism.
The text even suggests that the more you shine your light, the more you trigger these unhealed wounds in others, which can lead to more criticism.
It's like a defense mechanism, right?
Yeah.
When someone's actions or beliefs challenge our own, it can be a lot easier to attack them than to actually confront that discomfort they're stirring up within us.
Yeah, so how can someone listening distinguish?
That's a great question.
Between constructive criticism, that's helpful, and destructive criticism. That's meant to tear you down. What are some things to look for?
That's a really good question, and I think one of the biggest red flags is the intent behind the criticism. You know, is the person offering it from a place of genuine care and a desire to help you improve? Or is it coming from a place of, you know, jealousy, insecurity, or control, or a need to control?
So it's about tuning into that energy behind the words.
Absolutely.
If it feels personal, if it's attacking your character, rather than your actions or your ideas. That's a red flag.
That's a big red flag,
The text also talks about isolation as another form of mistreatment. What are some examples of how this can manifest?
Well, isolation can be incredibly painful. Right? As the word suggests. It can manifest in so many ways, from being excluded from social gatherings to having your ideas ignored or dismissed.
Or like actively excluded.
Exactly.
Or just like passively ignored.
Right.
It's like being in a crowded room, but still feeling totally alone.
Exactly.
And I think for chosen ones, this can be especially difficult because they're often already walking a path that feels different from the norm.
Right. They're already feeling a sense of isolation.
So it's like being isolated from the isolated.
Exactly.
So it's like a double whammy.
It's like a double whammy of isolation.
It's like they're swimming upstream and then getting cut off from their support system.
Right. And that can make it even harder to stay true to their purpose and to keep going when things get tough.
The text uses this phrase, attempts to diminish your light. What do you think the author means by that?
I think it speaks to those ways in which people try to, you know, make chosen ones doubt themselves. To make them question their own worth and their own path. And it could be through those subtle put-downs, backhanded compliments, or even just like outright sabotage.
It's like they're trying to clip their wings before they can even fly.
Exactly.
And that can be so demoralizing. Especially for someone who's already facing resistance.
Especially for someone who's already feeling like they're swimming against the current.
They're like, wait, I'm already doing the hard thing. And now you're going to make it even harder for me.
Exactly.
So how can someone protect themselves from this?
That's a question that we're going to explore a lot further as we get deeper into the text. But I think one of the most important things is to cultivate a strong sense of self-worth. You know, to really know deep down that your value is not dependent on the opinions or actions of others.
It's about recognizing that your light shines from within.
Yes, absolutely.
And no one can truly extinguish that.
No matter how hard they try. They might try to dim it, but they can't put it out completely.
And it's about surrounding yourself with people who support you, who see your light,
Yeah.
encourage you to shine it brightly.
Absolutely. It's about building a tribe
Yeah.
of like-minded souls.
Like your own personal cheer squad,
Yes, exactly.
who can help you navigate those inevitable challenges.
Exactly, because the journey's not going to be easy.
No,
But having that support system can make all the difference.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So speaking of challenges,
Yeah.
let's go back to that fifth reason the text gives for why chosen ones are mistreated. Their journey, including those hardships, is meant to inspire others.
This is the one that really gets me.
It's a powerful one.
It is.
That even our struggles, even our pain,
Mm-hmm.
can have a purpose beyond ourselves.
Exactly. It's like that saying, your mess can become your message.
Yeah.
You know, the challenges we overcome, the lessons we learn
Mm-hmm.
can become a source of inspiration and guidance for others
Yeah.
who are facing similar difficulties.
So it's not just about them.
Right.
It's about the ripple effect their journey creates.
Exactly.
The impact it has on the world around them.
Yeah, it's like their story.
Yeah.
Their endurance, their ability to rise above adversity
Yeah.
becomes a beacon of hope
Mm-hmm.
for others who are struggling to find their own way.
It's like they're pioneers, right?
Yeah.
They're forging a new path through the wilderness.
Right.
And their journey makes it easier for others to follow.
That's a beautiful analogy.
And it speaks to the transformative power of sharing our stories.
Mm-hmm.
Our vulnerabilities are triumphs.
Because when we do that,
Yeah.
we give others permission to do the same.
Yeah, it's like we're all connected in this grand tapestry
Mm-hmm.
of human experience.
Absolutely.
And our individual journeys, even the difficult ones,
Yeah.
contribute to the beauty and complexity of it all.
I love that image.
Yeah.
It really reminds us that we're not alone
Yeah.
in this journey.
And that our struggles, no matter how challenging they seem,
Mm-hmm.
can ultimately serve a greater purpose,
Exactly.
which is a really empowering message
It is.
to hold on to,
Oh.
especially when we're feeling lost,
Absolutely.
discouraged, misunderstood.
Yes.
So we've explored those 5 reasons
Okay.
the text gives for why chosen ones face mistreatment.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just the beginning of our deep dive. There's
Yeah.
so much more to unpack.
Yeah.
I think we need to delve deeper into this concept of chosen one itself.
Okay.
What does it really mean?
And what does it mean to be chosen?
Is it a literal thing? Like divine selection?
Right.
Or is it more of a metaphor for anyone
Mhm.
who feels called to a specific purpose?
Right.
That's where things start to get really interesting.
That's a great question.
So stay tuned, listeners, because we're about to go even deeper
Yes, we are.
into the mysteries and the meaning of the chosen one.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about why, why these chosen ones face so much resistance.
Right.
But now let's get into, like, the who,
Okay.
What does it actually mean to be a chosen one?
Yeah.
Is it like a literal thing, some kind of divine selection?
Right.
Or is it more of a metaphor for anyone who just feels called to a specific purpose?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the text doesn't really give us a simple, definitive answer,
Right.
but it seems to use this term chosen one almost like an archetype,
Okay.
like a symbol for those individuals who dare to step outside of societal expectations
Yeah.
and pursue a path that's uniquely their own.
So it's less about like literally being chosen by some external force and more about choosing oneself,
Yeah,
choosing to answer that inner call,
absolutely.
even if it means facing opposition and hardship.
Exactly.
That reminds me of something you said earlier about Galileo, right?
Uh-huh.
And the resistance he faced
Right.
when he challenged, the prevailing view of the solar system.
Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't literally chosen by anyone,
right.
but he chose to follow like his own observations, his own understanding,
Yeah, his own truth.
even though it meant going against the grain.
Exactly. He chose truth over conformity, even though it came at a high personal cost.
Yeah, he was basically put under house arrest.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
daring to challenge the dogma of his time.
But in doing so, he shifted humanity's understanding.
He did. He absolutely did.
So if we're talking about chosen ones as like those who choose themselves, who
Yeah.
choose their purpose,
Mm-hmm.
how can someone listening, how can they know
That's a great question.
if they're on that path? What are some signs?
Well, I think one of the most common signs is this persistent feeling of being different.
Okay.
of not quite fitting in with the mainstream.
Like being a square peg trying to fit into a round hole.
Precisely. And it's often accompanied by, this deep longing for something more,
Right.
a sense that there's, a bigger purpose to your life,
Right.
even if you can't quite articulate it yet.
It's like a seed that's been planted.
I love that image.
Yeah.
It's like a seed that's been planted deep within you,
Yeah.
and it's just waiting for the right conditions to, sprout and grow.
And I think another sign is like a heightened sensitivity to the world around you.
Absolutely.
Whether it's to like injustice, suffering, or just like the beauty of nature even.
Yeah, like you're more tuned in,
Yeah.
more aware of the
What are they-
interconnectedness of all things.
Which, can be a blessing and a curse, right?
It can be both.
Yeah.
Because it can make you more attuned to the pain and suffering,
Yeah.
which can be overwhelming at times.
But it can also fuel like your passion to
Yeah.
make a difference.
Exactly.
To use those unique gifts and talents you have
Absolutely.
to create a more, beautiful and just world.
And that's really where the true power of the chosen one architect lies.
Yeah.
It's not about being special or superior to others.
Right.
It's about recognizing that unique potential that resides within each of us and having the courage to step into that potential
Yeah.
to answer that call, no matter how challenging the journey may be.
So as we wrap up our deep dive
Yeah.
into this concept of chosen ones,
Right.
what's one key takeaway you hope listeners will walk away with?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is this. If you feel that tug on your heart,
Yeah.
that call to a higher purpose, don't ignore it.
Mhm.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Nurture it. Even if it means facing resistance, even if it means walking a path less traveled.
Yeah. Blaze your own trail.
Exactly. Because the world needs your light. The world needs your unique gifts, your authentic expression.
You don't have to have all the answers.
No.
You don't have to have it all figured out.
Just take that first step.
Yeah.
Answer the call.
And trust that the universe will support you.
Yeah, the path will unfold as you go.
That's a great way to put it.
And remember, the journey of a chosen one is rarely easy,
Yeah.
but it's always meaningful.
Well said. And who knows, maybe by embracing your own chosen one journey,
Yeah.
you'll inspire others to do the same.
And that's how we create that ripple effect
Yeah.
of positive change
Love it.
in the world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Until next time, keep exploring
Keep questioning.
and keep shining your light.
Absolutely.